I believe that is blatant, proper misconduct of the law. They should have been left to make their own decisions. And the only evidence I know was needed was the gun was fired at a 45 degrees angle. Parts of my son's body on the gun. And no recourse whatsoever. He was shot execution style in the scan room of St. Vincent's Hospital. And when I even asked the prosecutor's office, they were all going to the hospital at the time of the murder trial. The inquest. I wasn't allowed. I was never allowed back in that hospital. But I went myself, as I told you earlier. And I was shown by one of the head witnesses how my son was brought into that hospital, the same as any other prisoner is brought in, and it was not through the front gate door and emergency. It was not through emergency, as was stated by Richter in the courts. It was stated by Richter that my son was lunging at the officer in the corridor. Even if my son was lunging, you shoot a bullet. It cannot go there and round the corner from left to right of your body. It didn't come out. A bullet can't go round corners. That's the only evidence that was needed for my son's death and for the charges. So now I'm hoping that putting this out to the world, which I vowed I would do, I vowed I would get the truth out to the world. It took me quite some time. I'd run out of money. My main aim was to get to New York, to the branch of United Nations Human Rights in New York. And I was also going to appeal to see if I can get aid from Susan Gonzalez, the female head of the Freemasons in New York. I've done lots of things in my life, and according to the Melbourne legal system and my son's ex-wife, I am nothing but a prostitute. I have worked in the sex industry for a minute period of my life. Minute. I've done many things in my life. I've raised money for charity. Rocky Bay is the Quadriplegics Association in West Australia. I wrote a poem, and I first actually had it published in Scotland while I was on holiday, and it's a Scottish poem. I raised about $3,500 with that writing for Rocky Bay. I have certificates from a Rotary in Kalgoorlie for raising money during my tours for the Rotary Club of Kalgoorlie. I've done many things in my life, but of my Christian upbringing I've never lost sight, and I'm willing to swear on any Bible whatsoever with either hand. Everything I say is the truth. Anything I do in life, if I've done wrong, I'm prepared for the consequences. And I'm prepared to take the consequences. Not like these prison guards who were helped and aided by the police union, Paul Mullett, who has now been stood down. How could this mum get justice when the two guards had these as allies, and they had threatened to strike, a general strike, if the officer was charged? After a few weeks at the courts, I'd come back home to Perth and be here for maybe 2 or 3 weeks organising things, to go back again outside the courts, it was like my job. That was my life. Justice. That was my life at that stage. Anyway, at one stage I found out most of the judges and lawyers are Freemasons. Well, I thought, my dad was a Mason, so I got his card sent out from Scotland. And I had that blown up on the poster stating, I am a Mason's daughter, and I do think you ought to support me in this legal fight as a sworn member. You know this is my right. I bet Federico's not a fellow brother, so why should he walk scot-free after murdering another?